Alright, another day, another Vincent Drug unboxing. And this one is, well, I could go ahead and say it's from Trick or Treat Studios, because I already mentioned this thing was coming a while back. And then it took quite a while to actually get here. And only one item in this box is really for the Vincent Drug display, but I figure I might as well just do a full Trick or Treat Studios box unboxing. Yeah, so let's dig in here and let me put this down so I don't stab myself with it. Alright, well, the big item's on top, so I'm going to try to avoid that one for a bit and pull out the other stuff. So, first up is, so not for this display, but for that display, the Child's Play 2 kind of stiletto style knife. I have to say, now that they started doing these plastic knives as opposed to the foam ones, I really like what Tots has pulled off with these. They're usually pretty decent. You know, with anything they put out, sometimes it requires some adjustments, but that looks like it was pretty good. And then next up, we've got a bundle of masks here. So let's see how this comes apart. Got the zombie mask from Haunt. I was able to pick up 4 of the 6 at I believe at a convention a while ago. And these were the last 2. I think these are the ones that are probably like less in stock because they're the more minor ones that you see in the movie. So yeah, I just had to finally just break down an order from them. So they're all vacuum form. It's got the mesh in the eyes there. The only thing, they're supposed to be from like the movie molds and stuff, I believe, or have some lineage to it, but they have these big beefy elastic straps, which makes sense from a costume point of view. But I believe in the movie they were more like old school with just like a hole with a thin thread going through it, or elastic thread, so it's not exactly as accurate, I think, as they want it to be. And I know there's a bunch of scratches and weathering that are on the ones in the movie that aren't on these, but still decent. And the second one is the vampire from Haunt. So actually right behind my camera here, I have my Haunt display on the wall, so I will get these added on there and show it off at the end of the video as well. But similar style with this one. Looks pretty darn good. And then last in this little bundle, a Halloween item, but not a Halloween 4 item. This is the new version of the young Mikey clown mask. I had actually just gotten one of these at a con for my friend, and seeing it in person, comparing it to the old one that I have on display up there, made me want to get this one. This one does have a little bit of a paint splotching around the nose, which kind of sucks. You can see there's kind of a particularly large one on the side there, and then a couple others on this side, I think you could see, but still looks pretty good. Just to give you the comparison, here's the old one, and then here is the new one. I think one of the biggest differences in the shape of it is the nose there, and then also the eyebrows are very different as well. There's definitely a little more than just that on these. They're definitely completely different sculpts. Not sure what I'll do with this one, but the display will upgrade to this one. And then, last but not least, we have our Vincent Drug item. And this is interesting because I just got that order in from Zagone with the Vanilla Gorilla replica there, or substitute there. And this is another Be Something Studios mask that is remade. But for whatever reason, Zagone doesn't have this exact version up for offer on their site right now. And you have to get it through Trick or Treat Studios. But I believe some Zagone masks, they actually manufacture for Trick or Treat Studios. So for all I know, this may have been produced at the Zagone factory. Does it say made in Mexico on this like all the other ones? It does, but I think all the Trick or Treat Studios things say made in Mexico. I don't know. So this is my stand-in for the Be Something Studios Drac mask. The one in the movie is different in that it has the blood coming out of, I guess maybe it was this side. I don't know. One of the sides of his mouth, he had blood coming out of in the film. I'm trying to tell, it looks like it was sculpted on the original version of the mask. And then I think still the vintage copy at some point switched over to having no blood, so they modified the sculpt of it. So this is a mask that I kind of, if I found a vintage copy that had the blood, I would love to get that. While I was saying in one of my last videos, I don't need vintage copies. That's one where I would make an exception. Plus, I think this is a really cool looking mask, even though his nose is really smushed right now. So I guess I should back up and say that this is in the movie at 2 different spots. It is on the main shelf that Jamie walks by. I believe it sits in between Seymour and the Snake Mummy, if I remember correctly. And then it's also hanging off of the shelf next to the Vanilla Gorilla that you see behind Rachel and Brady. So for now, this one's going to go in the main lineup here. But if I did find a vintage copy, I would probably just take this guy, stick him up here, and then put the vintage one in the main lineup so that I could kind of have representation of both. But yeah, like I was saying, really cool sculpt. I love the kind of dead flesh purpley color they went with. It's got some nice fangs. The least extreme teeth on a Zagone mask I have so far. Or Be Something Studios mask. Replica, whatever. I mean, it's basically the same idea. The hair on it is pretty nice. Kind of similar to what was on the Gorilla mask as well, except I think a little bit shorter. I guess I could try this one on too. It is like a rubber mask in the front, and then the back is all the hair. So it's not exactly a full latex mask over your head. Why do I look like a vampire with a two-tone mullet? Yeah, not as bad as some of the other ones. It still is pinching my eyes a little bit, but not as bad as some of the other Be Something Studios style masks. You can breathe out it pretty well because the whole mouth is open, even though it doesn't align with my mouth very well. Pretty cool. Gotta love the smell of a brand new Halloween mask. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to display this knife just yet, so I'm just going to hold it up vaguely in front of the Chucky display. It's not too shabby. It's definitely got a noticeably blunt end on it. So, you know, it's not a super convincing prop, but it's meant to be, you know, Halloween, con safe, whatever. The color they got on the blade isn't too bad. That nice silver on there. It's a little scratched up on this side, but I don't think that's too bad looking. I kind of wish the brass on it looked a little more like brass, and I forget if that middle part's supposed to be wood. It really doesn't look like it. It does have that plastic feel. Okay, that angle seemed to be causing some issues with focus, and even this doesn't seem to focus too well, but yeah, I don't know. The middle section feels like it's a little bland. The brass parts could have looked better, but it's lightweight. And I'm sure if you wanted to get Chucky to hold it, he probably could. So that's a plus. It was a simple little prop, so nothing too crazy. So there's the two new masks in my Haunt display. So you can see the 4 that have been here, and then the 2 new additions. Looks really nice as a set. And then those 2 posters in the middle came out of the deluxe edition of the Blu-ray. So you had the map of the Haunt, and then kind of a replica of the flyer that was what kind of brought the people in the movie to the Haunt. So nice to call this set basically complete. Kind of want to go in and do some of the scratches, but I gotta find some good reference and, you know, take some time and actually do all that. But for the most part, I'm going to call this done. Not really a whole lot to show here outside of the young Mikey mask is on the shelf next to my other Halloween stuff. So I got the Tots tombstone there. Got a crappy version of the pumpkin I did, a little rabbit in red. It's actually a notepad, but it's supposed to look like the matchbook. I really need to get my H1 replaced with something that is a little less goofy looking than that stock. I think that was the Elrod mask from Tots. And hey, look, you can see Halloween 4 on that shelf right below it. So that makes a great segue to our updated shelf for Vincent Drug. I really like how this looks. Like with 6 masks on here, it gives it this nice little bit of symmetry, this nice sense of fullness. 2 more masks minimum to go on this before I can call it any kind of level of complete. But I really, really like how this looks right now. I'm really happy with it. And since the last video I did take the Gorilla mask, I stuffed it a little better. I put it on a display stand. You can't see the stand, but it's very similar to what the floating masks are on, except it has a little circular wooden base. That one needed it. Seymour needed it. Well, Seymour has a kind of similar thing with the same base on it. It's just such an oddly shaped mask that it kind of needed something custom, or very custom, as opposed to these other 2. The Drac doesn't seem to need it, but I'm kind of wondering if for consistency's sake, I want to put him on the same stand. You can't even see it on the Gorilla, and you could barely see it on Seymour. So I don't know if he really needs it. Not sure yet. I'll have to decide. But yeah, I just really love how this is looking right now. So I'm going to call it there for this one. Long overdue Trick or Treat Studios unboxing. Really nice to get all that stuff in and unboxed and looked at finally. And at this point, I honestly don't know what the next thing in this display is going to be. I've been spacing out all these videos, so thankfully it's going to probably buy me a little time to figure that out in the meantime. But I also wouldn't be surprised if these videos slow down a little bit after this one while I try to get some of the other pieces that are kind of proving harder to find. I think I might have gotten all the easy stuff so far, so we will see. But that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Later.